to a new video. I am Rosalind Yukich, and I am a second-generational homeschool mom who is living in Croatia with her 2 young kids. And today I'm going to be talking about how I plan my homeschool, or better yet, how I don't plan. Now, I have to just say that not planning runs completely against my nature. I'm one of these chronic planners, and I have been for a long time. I'm super organized. I have a planner for my own self. I have calendars with stuff written on it. I love to make lists. I love to cross things off of lists. And I've actually tried several different ways to do a homeschool planner, and it made me crazy. And I think I finally found on something that works, something that keeps me from being totally crazy. And I think it works because I've done it for a while now, and I really love it. So I'm going to show you what I do today. But before we get there, I just want to say that this video is in collaboration with Shauna from the Homegrown Homeschool and Devine from Calm in the Chaos Homeschool. And I'm really glad to be joining with them. You will find their links in the description box below, along with a link to the playlist for this video, because I don't know about you, but I have found that when I listen to other moms, that I find solutions for things that, you know, maybe I've been struggling with from an angle that I may not have considered. That is why, and you've heard me say this a few times now, that is why I love doing these collaborations. It's also why I love checking out the playlists, because I stumble onto moms that I may not have really found myself in community with ordinarily, but because they're joining in the collabs and I'm listening to them, I realize, you know, wow, I may not have been maybe attracted to their content ordinarily, but I'm finding that they really come at a problem from a totally different perspective that I may not have considered, and I find the solution, and it is wonderful. And that is actually where I found the solution for my planning to begin with. I began following a channel that I really wasn't, that I probably wouldn't have followed ordinarily. I mean, her children really kind of are interested in things that my children are interested in, but she began to talk about reverse scheduling or reverse homeschool planning. And that, I almost just turned the video off, and then I thought, you know, I think I'll keep listening, because she was talking about, we do the thing and then we write down the thing. And that completely runs against my nature, because to me that sounds super disorganized. But as I began, I thought, you know, that's one thing I haven't tried. And I have found in my experience, usually the last thing that I haven't tried is the answer to the problem. And so it ended up being that way. So I first want to show you how this looks for me. Now, this is a page that is already done. And because this is the one we did last week, and so you kind of get an idea for what we're doing. So I make out my own sheets. Now, I will start off by saying I make out my own sheets because I do live overseas, and homeschooling is not a thing here. So you're not going to go to the store and you're not going to find a homeschool planner. You're not going to find any kind of real school planner at all. And so for me, if I can't find it free online, you know, if it's not a digital download and I haven't been gifted it by another maybe homeschooling parent in the area, you know, who typically do have obviously American curriculum options because they're usually missionaries, you know, then I usually have to go to the drawing board myself. And I have tried several different planners, and I have tried some that I really like, and I'll actually leave a link to a planner in the description box below that you can check out by Year-Round Homeschooling. Misty from Year-Round Homeschooling also happens to be my best friend, and she has created a planner, and I used her planner and I really liked her planner, but I had to really tailor something to our needs, and so that's just why I'm not using her planner. That's the only reason why. She knows I love her planner. So anyway, this is what I tailored to myself. So I have the subjects here, and then I have the initials of my kids on the side. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So we do Bible, we do math, English, and then we are learning Croatian simultaneously because we are a bilingual home. And then I have usually an additional thing here underneath, and with the additional thing, it's usually like handwriting or spelling, history and science, which we are currently doing, which we do every single day. We're doing easy peasy. And then we have extras. Our extras are either extracurriculars through easy peasy that my children enjoy, such as thinking or music and art, which sometimes go along with our history. So sometimes that gets included in, like today it did, but sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's a totally separate thing. And then we do it as the extra. Plus, my children like to take extra classes. I have one that's taking a coding class right now, and another that just really loves art. He is my super crafty person, and so then he does an art lesson usually through Art Kids Hub, and so, or Art for Kids Hub. And then we have reading, which we do every day, and then music. My children are taking private lessons with piano, guitar, ukulele, and drums. I know it's a lot. They both have chosen 2 instruments. That was their choice, and they are having fun, so I just let them do that. So this is where I do the reverse scheduling. So what I do is I write down as we do it throughout the day. Once we're done with the lesson, I write down the lesson. I write down what we did, how many lessons we did, and go with that. That saves me having to do scratching out, whiting out, erasing, and that's why I chose to go with reverse scheduling, because I was doing a lot of that. I have 2 kids right now in elementary school, and so you know how that is you get into a math lesson and they get stuck. And I have one kid that can sometimes get stuck in a math lesson for a few weeks. And so if I've done all of my planning and all of my writing down ahead of time, then I am doing a lot of erasing and whiting out for months and months and months. And that was what made me crazy, was, we get off one week and then that just took all my plans and put them all off. So I have found that doing it this way is so much easier. If we get stuck in a lesson, or if we want to do a deep dive into something for history or science, we are free to do that. And then we just pick up the next day right where we left off. We're not, and this is something that I have really come to embrace, is we are never behind. We just are where we are. But because of my nature, and because I do have to have a plan, then I do have a way to sort of plan things. And so that's where I'm going to take you now, is how do I get started? Well, I'm just going to show you what I did at the beginning of the school year. So I first of all made this sheet. I plan out my school calendar dates. Now this is now all defunct because halfway through the year we decided to do year-round homeschooling. So this is going to look different next year. But with year-round homeschooling, I still will be writing out when we're going to be taking our breaks. So when we will break for Christmas, when we're going to break for Thanksgiving, when we will break for Easter, and then also if we want to take some breaks in the spring. And that's kind of why I decided to go with year-round homeschooling anyhow, was because the summertime here is very hot, it's very humid, there are a lot of mosquitoes. My kids end up spending more time inside actually during the summer than they would ordinarily during the spring, when it's still not as hot and the mosquitoes still haven't shown up. So we decided, and I included the children in this decision, is we decided to actually take longer breaks during the spring, and then just while we are inside, we're inside anyway, we might as well just do school in the summer. And so that's kind of how we're doing it. Then I write out my routine here. Now again, this changes, and you know as well as I do that you get into the school year and what you thought was going to work ends up not working. So next year I'm going to just write that out in pencil, because I just feel that allows me to erase it. It's going to change, and it's changed many times since I wrote that out last year. Then I have a school supply list, and I can take this to the store with me. So as I am sitting out and doing what I'm going to show you right now, which is my rough plan, then I can just jot things down that I think we're going to need. You know, how much paper we're going to need, or notebooks, or pencils and erasers and markers and all that stuff. You know, going through my art bin, seeing what we're low on so I can write it down on my shopping list. Then what I do is this. For every child, I have a rough year plan. Now, here I am not writing out what I'm going to be doing every day, every week, or even every month yet. It's an overview. So I have one of these columns for every subject. Now here my printer started running out of colored ink, which is exactly why I didn't do blank ones today. But I have the subject, and then here's an overview of what it's going to look like for the whole year. So I just sort of thumb through and I make notes. And then I look and see how many lessons is in this program, or in this, you know, in this book. And then I calculate, divided by how many days we are required to do, 180 days a year. And so then I just divide how many lessons am I going to need to do every week to get to the end of this book. Now, that's just a thing for me to know. I need data. That's the type of person that I am. I have to have the data. But I also bear in mind that I know when my older son was in public school, they rarely ever got to the end of their book by the end of the school year. And it's okay to not get to the end of the book. And that's why, one of the reasons why I love Easy Peasy is because they don't do their curriculum by grades. Easy Peasy is on levels. So once you finish the one level, you can move on to the next level. And maybe the level is going to correspond with your grade, maybe it's not, but it's not a grade, it's a level. And so it sort of takes that whole pressure of, we got to get to the end of this level before we get to the end of the year. This is just data for me to know. How many lessons should I be doing ordinarily? Now with Easy Peasy, generally speaking, it's one a day, but they do also have some that are once a week. And also, in addition to that, we don't do math through Easy Peasy. We do math with Math-U-See. We started with Math-U-See from the very beginning. My children really respond well to that. They love it. And so then we kind of have a totally different system going on there. So I do put how many times a week that we need to do that subject to complete by the end of the year. And then any extra reading. As I'm going through and I'm looking at the lessons, sometimes books will come to mind. Sometimes it'll be a movie. So this is really not just extra reading, it's sort of like additional material. So what are some things that we can supplement in here that's going to really make it interesting or exciting? You know, what kind of read alouds are we going to want to do with that? And so this is just my rough plan. And so I have all of that written down. Then I have one extra sheet that I use for the month. Now, once again, halfway through the year, we switched from doing what we were doing to doing almost all Easy Peasy. So this really doesn't even apply anymore, but that's okay. I do have notes in here that do apply. I made some notes for history using a book that I read some years ago on the history of Croatia. And we are actually doing with our, as we do ancient history, as we're doing world history, I am actually including in that some lessons specifically for Croatian history. So I have, again, 2 of these sheets. I have English, Math, and Croatian, and then History, Science, and Bible. And so in here, I sort of have a rough idea of what we should be learning every month. Even though this doesn't follow the actual curriculum that we're using now, it still sort of lets me know how on track are we, because Easy Peasy, we almost were able to go parallel over from what we were using before to Easy Peasy. So it still does give me a general idea of, you know, how well are we staying on track. And again, this is not to, you know, make me anxious and, you know, sort of pressure me. Let's, you know, we need to rush through this. But it lets me know, how well are my kids doing? It gives me a fairly good diagnostic tool to let me know, you know, are they struggling in an area? You know, did we get hung up on a certain part of our curriculum, on a certain subject that we were working on, you know, or are we, you know, have we been able to sort of keep things steady going? And that's a really great diagnostic tool for me to know. So I do have that. Now, then the weekly, again, the weekly sheets are blank because I fill those in as we go along. Then I print out a grades sheet, and this because my children are enrolled in an umbrella school, I am required to keep grades for them and to turn those grades into that umbrella school every semester. And so for each child, I have a grade sheet like this, and I color code it according to what was being graded. Was it, you know, a written test? Was it an oral test? Was it a project? Or am I grading some of their work that I told them, you know, if you write this, you know, paragraph, you're going to be graded for that. And then I keep all of the graded work actually in my workbook so that I have all the graded work with me. And so I keep track of their grades, so the date that they were graded for whatever it was that was being graded, and what grade that they received for that. And then I have, this looks a little bit crazy. It's you know, organized in a way that I can understand it, but this is their attendance record, because I do actually keep a list of days that we attended school, and any sick days that we took for that year. So I have all of those sheets there, and that is how I plan my school year. So like I said, I did all of this myself. I find it is what has worked for us the best. So I don't know if that gives you any ideas for a way to create a planner for yourself, if you're wanting to create something for yourself, or if you're just looking for an easier way to plan. I definitely recommend reverse planning because it just is so much easier. It really takes a lot of the pressure off of you, first of all, to sit down and try to plan out an entire homeschool year or even a semester ahead of time. But it also, you know, being able to just look and see, what did we do yesterday? Okay, that's what we're going to pick up today, and just do the next thing, and then just do the next thing, and just do the next thing. It takes so much pressure off. So I hope that that gave you some ideas for maybe doing something different. There are a lot of videos on YouTube about reverse planning, so you know, if that's something that interests you, you might want to check out some more of those videos. Definitely please check out that playlist below. Also check out our hosts for this collab, and all the other links that are down below, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.